After losing his wife, a wealthy and emotionally guarded millionaire begins to quietly follow his child's nanny one evening after she leaves work. What he uncovers about her secret life not only stuns him, but shakes the very foundation of everything he thought he knew about trust, loyalty, and love. Why was she hiding it? And what will he do now? What he discovered changed everything. Carol, wait! Nathan Caldwell's voice rang through the light drizzle as Carol Larson reached the last step of the porch made of large stones. The gentle but steady autumn rain coated the shiny walkway with a silver mist. She turned around, her golden ponytail drenched, the cross-body canvas bag hanging from one shoulder. Her eyes, tired but determined, met his. Is there something wrong? Mr. Caldwell. Nathan stepped forward. Where are you rushing off to? You've been leaving early a lot lately. Carol's expression didn't change, but she adjusted the strap of her bag. I have some personal matters to handle. My shift ends at 7:00. Sir, I believe I'm free to go now. Nathan squinted. Not out of rudeness, but out of concern. I heard you on the phone last night. Sounded tense. You said you needed a large sum of money. Is everything okay? For a moment, Carol froze enough for him to notice. That was a private conversation. She answered sternly. I know that, but you care about my son. He loves you very much. I just want to know if there's anything I should worry about. Carol gripped her canvas bag tighter. If you no longer trust me, maybe you should find someone else to watch Noah. Nathan was startled. That hurt more than it should have. She turned away and quickly walked down the stairs, her boots splashing water into shallow puddles. Her figure was soon swallowed by the gentle darkness behind the front gate. The porch light flickered behind her, casting long, vague shadows. Inside, the mansion seemed emptier than usual. Nathan turned back to the study, poured himself a glass of scotch, and looked out through the tall windows at the rain. The house, once built to impress, now held only silence. He had designed it that way. Clean, controlled, safe. A place with no surprises. But Carol was different. Since she started working there 6 months ago, she brought something he didn't realize he missed. Warmth. Noah, who had been closed off since his mother died, was now more open. He laughed again. He played. He smiled. And it was Carol who made him say that. That morning, Nathan stood in the hallway watching Noah, in pajamas, holding Carol's hand and whispering, Can you stay tonight? Until I fall asleep. Carol smiled gently and sincerely, then knelt down and tucked a stuffed bunny into his elbow. Not tonight, sweetheart, but I'll be back early tomorrow morning. That's a promise. At that moment, Nathan felt something in his chest, something quiet, something hopeful. But now, after she suddenly left and after hearing the phone call, he replayed those words in his head. I need it soon. No, I can't ask anyone else. I'm doing everything I can, not mentioning the family emergency. No context, just desperation. He knew what his mind wanted to do, wanted to a family emergency. No background, only despair. I know what my mind wants to do, wants to protect my son, but my heart is conflicted. Carol has never been a bad person. However, secrets, especially when they involve money, never end well. He learned that painfully after what happened with Jennifer. After Amelia, after seeing how people changed when they realized how much he was worth. His finger glided over the security panel. Just a few clicks, and the screen lit up. He reviewed the footage from the day before. Carol arrived right on time, brushing Noah's hair, organizing the craft drawer, reading bedtime stories on the couch. Nothing suspicious, nothing wrong, except for the phone call. She stepped out to the backyard, phone still on standby. She didn't see the camera angle. I'm trying. I said I'm trying. I just need more time. Don't give up on me. Nathan muted the clip. Her tense, worried tone kept repeating in his mind. It wasn't fear. It was pressure. Desperation. He suddenly stood up, forgetting his drink. He didn't want to be this man, the kind who always doubted good people. But if something happened behind Noah's back and put him in danger, he needed to know. He put on his jacket, grabbed the keys, and headed toward the garage. He sat behind the wheel of the black Mercedes and started the engine, the soft sound echoing through the quiet space, through the windshield, The rain blurred the world into streaks of light and shadow. He slowly drove away, turning off the headlights, keeping distance as he turned onto the street Carol had taken. Maybe she was just trying to survive. Maybe she had a past she was hiding. Maybe she was exactly who she claimed to be. And maybe, just maybe, he was about to discover something that could change everything he thought he knew. Tonight, he would follow her. Tonight, he would find out the truth, even if it broke the only fragile bond he had left. Nathan's black Mercedes parked 2 houses away from the villa, headlights off, engine quiet. Rain traced long streaks down the windshield as he watched Carol get on the city bus. Her canvas bag hugged her side tightly. She didn't look back. He carefully followed from a distance, heart pounding. This feeling was wrong, like betrayal. But the suspicion wouldn't subside. She was hiding something. He needed to know what. The bus headed south, leaving behind Seattle's glass towers and winding into older neighborhoods. Nathan's gaze followed every turn, hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Finally, Carol got off in a forgotten area. Cracked sidewalks, flickering streetlights, buildings covered in graffiti. She crossed the street and entered a faded blue building with a warped sign. Hope Haven Community Center. Nathan parked across the street. Through rain-speckled windows, he saw her warmly greeted by a gray-haired woman, then led into a brightly lit room full of children. Some sat on mats, others fiddled with crayons and paper. Carol knelt among them, her voice muffled behind the glass. The little girl pulled out notebooks. The little girl took out books, highlighters, and paper dolls from her bag. At first, the little girl hesitated a bit, then slowly moved closer as Carol helped her draw a stick figure house with flowers in front. Carol smiled. Gentle, patient, sincere. A boy sneezed behind her. Without hesitation, she took the scarf from around her neck and wrapped it around his. Nathan blinked. The knitted scarf. He had seen her doing that in the mansion during lunch breaks. She didn't do it for herself. He had watched for nearly an hour. Carol read stories aloud. She bent down to the children's eye level, buttoned up a boy's coat, hugged a crying girl until she calmed down. She smiled when they smiled. She moved as if this place, this broken, deprived space, was truly her home. Nathan leaned back in his chair, feeling overwhelmed. She didn't hide the deception. She hid kindness. He looked at the box of pastries nearby, leftovers from the kitchen staff. Without thinking, he quickly wrote a note for the kids from someone who believed in them. He placed it with the box, crossed the street, and quietly slipped it inside the community center door before retreating. Back in the car, he looked out the window and saw Carol find the package. She stopped, confused, then smiled, gentle and slow. She read the paper twice. He saw her touch her chest for a moment. Nathan exhaled. The next morning, Carol arrived 10 minutes late, cheeks flushed, hair wet from walking. She held the paper in her hand. "Mr. Caldwell," she said carefully, standing just inside the kitchen. "Yes. Did you leave something at Hope Haven?" He didn't look back. "Maybe." "Why?" He turned toward her. "Because I misjudged you." She blinked. "You've been following me." He nodded once. "You think I was stealing?" "I did." His voice was low. "But I saw something different. You go with the kids. That's beautiful." Carol looked down at the paper. "They like pastries." "Thank you." He said you shouldn't have to do that alone. "Let me help." She hesitated. "This isn't charity." "I know. It's admiration." Their eyes met, and for the first time something gentle passed between them, like the beginning of trust. Nathan sat at the desk in his office, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the dark wood. His laptop screen showed a modest, simple, practical, and sincere website. Hope Haven Community Center serves forgotten families in Seattle. He scrolled through faded photos of volunteers, community dinners, after-school programs. In a corner of a picture, Carol was kneeling beside a child holding a paper heart with "Believe in Yourself" written in crayon. They were running low on funds. Donations had dropped. The heater had broken twice this winter. Nathan closed the browser and leaned back, silent. That night, he made a few discreet calls. By midnight, a shell company he often used for anonymous charity transferred $50,000 to Hope Haven. He slept better than he had in weeks. The next day, he lingered in the kitchen longer than usual. Carol arrived in her usual quiet way, hair tuck back her hair, roll up her sleeves. "Good morning, Mr. Caldwell," she said, then put down her bag. "Carol," he said, pretending to sip his coffee, "how's Noah handling the letters?" She smiled. "Better. Sometimes he writes his name backwards, but he's very proud of it." Nathan chuckled. "Sounds like his mother." Carol's smile faded slightly, but she nodded. "He talks about her." "I hope you don't mind me asking these questions," he said carefully, "but I wonder what made you want to work with children." Carol's hand paused over the lunch she was preparing. "I grew up in a group home. No parents, no siblings, just the revolving doors of social workers and bunk beds." She took a deep breath. "There was a volunteer who came to read to us every week. She brought paperback books and cookies. She was only here for a year, but I never forgot her." Nathan said nothing, afraid to interrupt the rare openness in her voice. "I promised myself that if I ever got out, I would do the same for someone else." Just then, Noah ran into the kitchen, still in his socks. "Carol, look, I drew us in the park." She knelt down, studying the scribbled stick figures. "That's beautiful." "Noah, you even remembered the slide." Nathan watched her tuck a lock of hair behind her ear. Listen to the softness in her voice. "She gave your son something you couldn't give yourself. Family." That night, when Carol left Hope Haven, Nathan placed a small wrapped box on the table by the door. Inside was a set of vibrant building blocks, enough for 10 kids. He added a carefully, neatly handwritten, "Clean," for Noah and his friends from someone who believed in the game. The next morning, Carol gently lifted the box. "This wasn't here yesterday. Noah mentioned that his friends don't have many toys," Nathan said, pretending to be casual. She squinted, then softened. "Thank you. I'll make sure they understand." Nathan nodded, hiding the ache in his chest. Hope, that's what she gave him, quietly, steadily, without asking for anything in return. And for the first time in years, Nathan wanted to give back. The morning light gently streamed through the tall windows of the Caldwell living room, casting golden patches on the floor where Noah sat. His coloring book spread out. Carol knelt beside him, her voice soft as she read aloud a picture book about a bear who built a treehouse for his friends. Nathan leaned against the doorway, watching them from afar. There was something gentle in Carol's tone, something comforting in how Noah nestled close to her. When the story ended, Carol closed the book and stroked Noah's hair. "Go wash your hands before breakfast." "Okay, buddy." Noah nodded and ran toward the bathroom. Nathan stepped forward. "You're really good with him." Carol looked up, surprised. "Thank you," he said hesitantly. "Can I ask you something?" Carol looked up in surprise. "Thank you, sir." Hesitated. "May I ask you a personal question?" I thought she was a bit stressed. "Last week when I followed you," he suddenly stopped, not knowing how to express it. "I saw what you did at community center, but I still don't understand why you kept it a secret." Carol breathed out slowly. "Because people don't always see good intentions. They only see distraction, unprofessionalism. I worried you'd think I wasn't dedicated enough to this job." "I'm not worried," Nathan said quietly. "I think what you're doing is remarkable." She sat on the couch, arms crossed over her lap. "There's a girl, Lily. She's 9 years old, lost both her father and mother in a fire last year. She doesn't talk much, won't meet anyone. Therapists at Hope Haven said she needs regular therapy sessions, maybe medication, but we don't have the money." Nathan felt a sharp pain in his chest. "I worked weekends at a bookstore," Carol continued, "trying to cover the cost for one therapy session a week. That's why I've come home early a few times. Not because I don't care about Noah." He sat down across from her. "I should never have doubted that." She gave a faint smile. "I just never had much. Growing up counting coins for milk, people think you're lazy or irresponsible if you have nothing in your hands. I've worked very hard to build trust in this role. I don't want to put that at risk." Nathan's throat tightened. "I understand." She glanced up. "What about you?" He nodded. "I lost my wife 3 years ago. Cancer. Quick and ruthless. After that, I stopped letting people in. Everyone wants something. Money, access, influence. I became a security footage watcher instead of asking questions. I was afraid to trust. Carol's eyes sparkled. I can't imagine that kind of loss. I think, he said quietly, we're both a little afraid of getting hurt, of being seen. She smiled shakily. You think helping others will make us feel braver, but it doesn't always make us feel safe. He added. Silence fell between them. Then Carol quietly said, Sometimes I wonder if someone like me with my past will ever truly be loved. Nathan's chest twisted. You deserve more than love. You deserve safety, trust, and respect. Her shoulders shook. You don't know how much I needed to hear that. He didn't take her hand. He didn't dare. But in that moment, something changed. A understanding. A fragile thread of trust. That afternoon, Nathan called a private therapy network. He arranged through a non-profit to fund Lily's treatment, weekly therapy sessions with a trauma specialist, fully covered, anonymously. Next time Carol came home from Hope Haven, her eyes red but shining, the therapist said they had received a grant for Lily, a full scholarship. I don't know who arranged it, but he smiled. Sometimes good things happen to good people. No one said anything else, but they both felt it. Silent healing doesn't come from grand gestures, but from finally being seen. The early morning air inside the Caldwell estate feels heavier than usual, like a storm that never happened, but still left everything damp. Carol moves quietly in the kitchen, preparing breakfast for Noah, her movements skilled and precise. On the other side of the marble island, Nathan watches her, his coffee cooling in his hand. He clears his throat. Carol, I've been thinking. She looks up briefly. Yes. Mr. Caldwell. Nathan hesitates. I want to offer you a new position. Full-time family manager, higher pay, fewer hours. It would give you time to study and continue your work at Hope Haven. Carol stiffens, her hand stopping midair, holding the toaster. He gently continues. You've done so much for Noah and for me. I want to support what you're doing. Social work, the center. You should have space to pursue those dreams without burning out. For a moment, Carol says nothing. Then, she puts the loaf into the toaster and turns away. I really appreciate the offer. I do. But I have to decline. Nathan's brow furrows. Why? Because I need to do this myself, she replies, still with her back to him. If I accept your help, if I become dependent on your generosity, I don't know if I'll ever stop feeling small. Small, he answers, confused. She speaks softly, like I don't deserve this place. Like everything is charity, not a right. Nathan's heart sinks. Carol, I don't see you that way at all, but that's how I see myself, she whispers. From that day on, something changed. Carol stayed professional, punctual, polite but distant. She no longer lingered to read with Noah. She no longer shared intimate morning chats with Nathan or asked about his weekend plans. Her answers were brief, her smile faint and fleeting. Nathan felt a void like cold wind blowing through a broken window. He tried to reach out to her. How's Lily? He asked one afternoon. She's getting better, Carol said without taking her eyes off the dishes. And your classes? Fine. It was like talking through glass. He told himself to let go, to respect her boundaries. But at night, the echoes in the house grew louder. Noah missed her stories. Nathan missed her laughter. The flame that once silently burned between them had gone out, and he didn't know how to open the window again. Was it because of him? Because he gave too much? Because she felt she had too little? Or was there something deeper? Her fear was needing someone, and his fear was being needed. Weeks passed in the slow, painful rhythm of unspoken goodbyes. Then one Wednesday morning, Carol walked into his office. I need to talk to you, she said, clutching a folder to her chest. Nathan slowly stood up. Of course. I'm submitting my resignation. Those words hit like a punch. I've been accepted into a part-time university program majoring in social work, and Hope Haven needs more hitting me like a punch. I was accepted into a part-time university program majoring in social work, and Hope Haven needed more from me as we were expanding services. It's time. He swallowed hard. Are you going to leave? She quickly added, I'll stay 2 more weeks to train my replacement. Noah deserves a smooth handover. Nathan nodded, though his hand was slightly trembling. I understand. She hesitated. I am grateful for everything. Mr. Caldwell, you're more generous than I expected. He gave a forced smile. I just want the best for you. Carol's lips parted as if she wanted to say something more, but she didn't. She turned and walked out, leaving him staring at the empty doorway. That night, Nathan stayed at his desk long after the house had gone quiet. He pulled out a cream-colored sheet of paper, the handwriting slow and deliberate. He began. It was a powerful, heartfelt, and honest letter of recommendation. He spoke of Carol's dedication, integrity, and impact on a grieving child and a broken family. He sealed the envelope and placed it inside a second, addressed to the scholarship committee of a prestigious organization. Inside, he included a note: her past should not determine her future. She is the kind of person the world needs more of. Help her get there. She deserves every dream she dares to pursue. He didn't sign it. 2 days later, Carol received a scholarship acceptance letter in her mailbox at Hope Haven. She stared at it in disbelief, then noticed the accompanying letter of introduction, her name written in familiar ink. No signature, but she knew. She pressed the paper to her chest, eyes closed, heart full of emotion, yet breaking at the same time. He was letting her go, respecting her choice, supporting her, and that made her question everything she thought she knew about strength and love, and the true meaning of being seen. The autumn sunlight gently filtered through the thin leaves, casting golden patches on the park bench and playground. Nathan found Carol near the community garden, her golden ponytail blowing in the wind as she knelt beside Lily, guiding her little hand across a picture book page. Other children ran around them, laughing, shouting, chasing each other. But Carol remained calm and focused, her gentle voice soothing the moment. He slowly approached, unsure if he had the right to disturb her world. She looked up just as he reached the edge of the playground. "Nathan," she said, surprised. "I hope I'm not bothering you," he said, hands in his pockets. Carol stood up, brushing leaves off her jeans. "You're always welcome here. This park belongs to everyone." "I needed to see you," Nathan admitted, to say something I should have said a long time ago. She pointed toward a nearby bench. They sat at a comfortable distance. Lily waved goodbye and ran off to join a group near the swings. "I followed you that first night," Nathan said after a pause. "The night you left early with the canvas bag." Carol's shoulders tensed. "I thought you were hiding something," he continued. "I've suspected it before. I've seen people take advantage of me. Those I trusted. I was afraid." She didn't look at him, but slowly nodded. "But then I saw you with the kids, and it changed me," he said, his voice softer. "In just one night, you taught me more about kindness than I learned in 35 years. Carol's eyes sparkled. "I know you don't trust me. I feel that. And I hate that I care." Nathan turned fully toward her. "Why do you never tell me the truth? Because you're scared too," she thought quietly. "Afraid you'd see me as a charity case, a poor girl with a tragic story. I don't want your pity. I don't want to be another project," he said fiercely. "You never were," she continued. "I grew up thinking I wasn't good enough. My shoes were too worn. My lunch was too simple. My dreams were too big. Kids laughed at me. Teachers scolded me. I told myself I would never let anyone define me by my flaws." Nathan exhaled slowly. "I know what it's like to build walls." He looked down at his hands, the weight of memories flooding back, making his voice choke. "After my wife died, everything fell apart. I couldn't protect her. I couldn't protect Noah from pain. I shut down, locked the gate, separated myself from the outside world. I thought safety meant loneliness." Carol's eyes softened. He said, "I saw you bring life back to this house. You brought laughter back to Noah. You gave me hope. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you." Carol gasped, instinctively covering her mouth. "But I was too scared to admit it," he added, "because you thought I would never want someone like you. Broken, rich, yes, but empty, damaged." A tear rolled down Carol's cheek. "You think I'm not scared?" she whispered. "You think I haven't loved two people and told myself it's impossible?" Nathan reached out and took her hand, hesitated, then held it gently. "So why do we let fear win?" She blinked to hold back tears. "Because love like this feels too big, too risky." He squeezed her hand. "But it's real, isn't it?" Carol nodded slowly, eyes locked on his. Yes, it is real. They sat in silence, hands intertwined, children's laughter echoing around like music. For the first time, the distance between them was no longer an abyss. It was a bridge. Nathan reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. "I kept this," he said, writing down everything you told Noah. Your words when he was scared, when he missed his mom, when he doubted himself. Carol slowly opened the notebook. Inside, dozens of quotes neatly handwritten by Nathan. "You are stronger than you think. Kindness is the bravest thing you can do. No storm lasts forever." On the last page, "Only one person survives. You are my inspiration." Carol hugged the book close to her chest, tears streaming. Nathan said hoarsely, "Now, I don't know what the future holds, but I know this. He doesn't want to face it without you." She leaned against him, resting her head on not wanting to face everything without you. She leaned on him, resting her head on his shoulder. "Me too." And for the first time in a long time, none of them felt afraid. The grand ballroom of the Hope Haven Gala sparkled with crystal chandeliers and soft golden light. Tables covered with white tablecloths were surrounded by well-dressed guests, community leaders, sponsors, parents, and children whose lives were impacted by this center. Far away, a tall stage had been set up for tonight's presentation. Carol stood behind the podium, her golden hair framing her face. She wore a simple but elegant dark blue dress, and her eyes scanned the room full of familiar faces. The parents she had comforted, the children she had nurtured. Her heart pounded in her chest. "Good evening, everyone," she began, her voice very calm. Everyone was silent as she continued. "I stand here tonight because of Hope Haven and because of the extraordinary people who believe in the organization's mission. But there is one person here who changed everything for me." She paused, and a faint whisper spread throughout the room. Carol took a breath. "He asked me to call him a special person, and I want to thank him for helping me believe I deserve bigger dreams." Nathan sat at a table near the front, heart pounding. He saw the audience turn to look at him. Where before doubt and uncertainty filled his chest, now there was only hope and pride. He raised his hand in a small wave, hidden behind a glass of champagne. Carol reached the final line. "So, thank you," she said softly, "for reminding me that the past does not define my future." Applause broke out, and she stepped away from the podium. Looking around the room, she saw Nathan slowly stand up from his seat, eyes shining with emotion. "Ladies and gentlemen, the gala MC stepped forward. We have one stepped forward. We have one last surprise. Please welcome Mr. Nathan Caldwell to the stage." Nathan crossed the room, his vest barely moving, and stepped onto the stage. The sound of applause filled the room, grew louder. He cleared his throat as he spoke. His voice echoed throughout the room with sincerity. "Good evening. I am honored to stand here tonight to finally say what I should have said long ago. A few months ago, I anonymously supported Hope Haven because I believed in the mission of this organization. I met a woman who embodies everything she represents: compassion, resilience, love. Her name is Carol Larson." Carol brought her hand to her mouth. The audience leaned forward. "I followed her to this very park, to Hope Haven, to witness how she nurtures and keeps our children united. I watched her pour her heart into children who needed more than help. They needed hope, and I realized I was wrong to doubt her. I was wrong when I thought her story wasn't beautiful." He paused, his voice growing deeper. "Carol, I'm sorry I didn't believe in you sooner. I have loved your kindness long before I understood it. I love you, and I want to say it publicly because you deserve to be seen for who you truly are." Silence fell across the room. Then the audience erupted in applause, at first soft, then swelling into thunderous clapping, tears glistening in many eyes, including Carol's. Nathan reached out to Carol. She stepped forward, her heart pounding. He took her hand, gently guiding her to stand beside him. To Nathan's delight, Noah toddled around to stand behind Carol, his small arms wrapped tightly around her waist. "Mom!" the boy called out, loud enough for the crowd to fall silent again. A gasp echoed throughout the room. Carol knelt to embrace him. Tears streamed down her face as Nathan wrapped his other arm around them both. "They are my heart," Nathan said, "and they are my family." Sighs of relief and applause filled the entire room. Carol Rose looked at the faces, then locked eyes with Nathan. "My family," she whispered. Nathan reached behind his back and pulled out a small velvet box and knelt on one knee on the stage. "Carol Larson, will you make me the happiest man alive? Will you marry me? And will you let Noah and me build a life of trust, love, and purpose with you?" Silence. Then cheers erupted. Carol nodded, tears streaming down. He opened the box to reveal an intricately crafted ring engraved with 3 tiny names: Carol, Nathan, Noah. He smiled at her, simply nodding, and the audience rose to their feet, applauding. Nathan Rose slipped the ring onto her finger, and they shared a gentle, sincere kiss. Cameras flashed, the whole room filled with joy. Then Nathan cleared his throat. "Before we lose this moment," he said, his voice gentle but full of emotion, "I want to announce something." He stepped back to the edge of the stage. "Starting tonight, I will establish the Carol Larson Scholarship Fund to honor Carol's dedication to education and children. This fund will support orphans and low-income children pursuing their dreams of college, because everyone deserves hope." The crowd erupted in new cheers. Carol covered her mouth, stunned. Nathan stepped forward, hugging her tightly. He had come to give her everything he could: love, trust, respect. And now she would carry his name into the future, helping countless others find hope. Noah wrapped his arms around her waist, grinning wide, and the whole family stood there together, bathing in love and celebration. The party ended with laughter, congratulations, and dancing. But on the stage, under warm lights, Carol and Nathan held hands, his arm wrapped tightly around her, her hand resting on his heart. They had conquered fear, built trust between 2 worlds, and now love was blooming fully. It was not just reconciliation, it was rebirth. And tonight, everyone present witnessed it. The sun was setting low over the Pacific, casting golden hues on the waves as they kissed the shore. The breeze was light, gentle, softly blowing Carol's long blonde hair. She walked barefoot along the beach, hand in hand with Nathan, while Noah jumped ahead of them, his laughter bright and clear amid the ocean's music. A month had passed since the party, and life had changed, not with the force of a storm, but with the quiet certainty of a tide. Hope Haven continued to thrive. Carol had embraced her leadership role, guiding children's programs as she always had. Nathan had given up his usual corporate jobs, choosing instead to invest in people and purpose. And Noah no longer woke up crying at night. His nightmares were replaced with bedtime stories and morning hugs. As the trio walked along the shore, Nathan stopped. He turned to Carol, his eyes catching the last flames of sunset. "There's something I want to ask you," he said softly. Carol smiled, delighted. "Another surprise." He nodded, then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Opening the box, she saw a simple, elegant ring. It featured a small carved star. "A star," she whispered. "For hope," he replied. "For the light you've brought into our lives. Carol, will you marry me? Will you be our home?" She blinked to hold back tears. Laughter caught in her throat. "Yes," she sighed. "Yes, Nathan. 1,000 times yes." Noah ran up just in time to see Nathan place the ring on her finger. "Are we a family now?" he asked, eyes full of hope looking at them. Carol knelt down and pulled him into her arms. "We've always been a family, sweetheart." Nathan also joined them, wrapping his arms around both. They stood like that, 3 people, surrounded by sky and sea. Then, Noah drew in the wet sand with a stick, 3 stick figures holding hands under the smiling sun. Above them, in uneven letters, he wrote, "My family." Nathan read the words, then turned to Carol. "I used to be so afraid to trust, afraid to feel. But you're worth the leap." She leaned into him. "So are you." This story reminds us that sometimes the quietest people carry the heaviest burdens, and that a single act of compassion can ripple into unimaginable transformation. Through Nathan's vulnerability and Carol's resilience, we witness the power of showing up for one another, even when our own hearts are breaking. It's a powerful reminder that healing often begins not with grand gestures, but with simple honesty and the courage to trust. If this story touched you, please show your support for Carol and Nathan. What do you think they should do next? Should Nathan open up more about his past? Or should Carol take a leap of faith and allow herself to be loved again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you believe the world needs more stories like this, raw, real, and deeply human, then don't forget to subscribe to Touching Tales Hub. Your support helps keep these emotional journeys alive and reminds us all that love, kindness, and second chances are still very much possible.